Welcome to Beyond the Canvas, the podcast where we peel back the layers of creativity and explore the vibrant minds behind the art. We are fascinated by artists and their stories, and we're excited to share that fascination with you. Join us as we chat with artists who inspire us, both near and far. We'll delve into their creative journeys, unique perspectives, and the hidden depths of their work. It's more than just a glimpse of their art. It's a deep dive into the heart of what makes them tick.
Okay, piece of candy. All right, so welcome to the inaugural podcast of Beyond the Canvas, deep dives with inspiring artists. And today we're welcoming Breanna. You go Breanna Klamm Whitlock or Breanna Whitlock?
Either or. On all my art, I sign Breanna Klamm Whitlock just because Klamm is more Googleable.
That's fair. That's smart. Breanna, you have a BA from Utah State University in Logan, right?
Yes.
And you also studied abroad in Essen, learning about painting, art history, color theory, and drawing. And man, you've done a lot. Not only do you paint and draw and do photography, but you also do content creation for, what am I trying to say here? Commercial companies? I don't know how to say
Yep. I'm a commercial photographer, so companies hire me to create content for their businesses they can use on social media and their websites.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to kind of say about yourself and your background before we get into my questions?
Just that my BSA is an emphasis in photography. Originally, I was going to do a dual major in painting and photography, but ended up just doing that painting or the photography emphasis. But I feel like my life has led to painting just as much as photography, which has been kind of fun. Didn't expect that in college.
So here we go. What is your story with art? And when did you realize you wanted to be an artist?
Oh, my story with art, I think, starts from the time that I was really little. I was gifted a camera when I was maybe 8 that I started taking pictures with. I've got drawings that date back to when I was 3 years old that my mom can save. I had a brief stint where I wanted to be a marine biologist, but other than that, I pretty much always knew I was going to be an artist. There was a brief time where I was going to go study dolphins and live with dolphins, but then I realized Wyoming does not have an ocean.
Not for a million years, yeah.
No.
And I should have mentioned that at the top. You're represented by, is it Wyoming Color Gallery?
I have art in Wyoming in Color in Buffalo, Sage Gallery in Sheridan, the JKR Gallery in Provo, Ava Art Gallery in Gillette, and then I've shown it at various other locations, but that's where I just house my art currently.
That's awesome. All right, cool. So I'd love to hear about where you're at right now. What's inspiring you these days, and where do you see your work evolving?
I definitely get a lot of my inspiration from wildlife and flowers and mountains here around my house in the Bighorns. I feel like those are the things that I connect with the most when I paint, especially if it's something that I've seen. If I'm able to take a picture of Indian paintbrush and then paint it, I really connect with that. Painting my own experiences here living in Wyoming.
Cool. And is there a medium that you feel is your kind of artistic home, and what resonates with you about it?
Right now, pastels. It just has worked out in every sense that I am a mom and then to a toddler, and she's very busy, and pastels, you don't have to really wait for them to dry. They're not sealy, but they are just as pigmented as oil. You just have a different binder. And I love the texture and the colors that I get out of pastel. And I'm not having to worry about dealing with the complications of oil paints around.
Yeah. And I'll make sure to link to everything on this so people can see just what you do with pastels, because it's pretty breathtaking. Moose Love is one of my favorites. And of course, the Blue Bear, which I bug you about incessantly. Amazing. And these are chalk pastels, right?
Yeah, yep, soft pastels, yep.
Are there any other mediums that have piqued your curiosity, but you haven't had a chance to dive into? Or is there anything you've seen other artists do that you'd like to try, but haven't yet?
I recently just did a series with charcoal and I really loved it. So I think I'm going to experiment a little bit more with charcoal. I really like that I can feel it. The one thing I don't love about pastels is you always have to frame them. Where charcoal, I was able to pour epoxy on the top and it didn't change the color. And so I think I want to experiment a little bit more with
That is cool. Is that your buffaloes?
yes, all the black and white ones that I just did recently were all charcoal.
And are you using just black charcoal, or are you also using white?
Right now I'm just using black charcoal and then white of the canvas.
That's what I was going to ask next, the support. Cool. So who would you say is an artist, living or deceased, whose work speak to you on one profound level? And what draws you to their work? How has it impacted your own practice?
Probably the one that I keep on coming back to is I love Gustav Klimt's work from the 1940s. I have quite a few just prints of his hanging on my walls around my house. Definitely not my style of art myself, but I love his use of color. I really like the gold that he uses and the emotion that he brings into his art. And I feel like I'm always trying to find a way to bring more emotion into my own art.
That's neat. Yeah, I try. The point of these podcasts is very self-serving. I want to talk to artists who have had an impact on me. You've had it on me in multiple domains. One of them, though, is listening to Klimt, but also the Fauvists and the German Expressionists.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have discovered them as soon as I did had it not been for you. Is there a piece that you've made that was especially challenging, and how did that experience shape your perspective as an artist?
I recently did a piece with a fish, and I never tried to paint anything that was like representative underwater. That was probably one of the most difficult pieces, and I still don't know if I mastered it. That's the nice thing about pastel is I can look at it for a year and then take it out of the frame and continue to work on it. And it's sitting on my wall right now and might be reworked at some point as I learn more about like how reflections hit and what life looks like underwater. But I definitely think that's been my most challenging piece recently.
Did you? Oh, wasn't that something?
I've entered it into the last one that was in it was in a pop-up show in Gillette, but I don't know if it's juried or anything. I don't know if it's ready for juried shows yet.
All right, out of all the artwork you brought to life, which is one that you consider meaningful and significant? What's the story that it tells?
I'd say if I was going to talk about my most meaningful pieces, I'd go back to my college days when I was working with the Native American community in Logan. And those were all photo pieces that I was using a gum bichromate process to print. And I do think that of all the art that I've created, those ones actually tell a story. They have a lot of meaning behind them. They're way more than just pretty pictures. And I was working with Native Americans to learn about their history and contemporary Native American culture. And I was using legends from their culture to describe current experiences that these people were having. And I'd say that those are probably my most meaningful pieces.
Can you talk about that bike? I can't say it.
The bike. Yeah.
I think you got monies for that, didn't you? Like the grant?
Yeah. When I was at Utah State, I applied for the ERCO grant and was able to get money to research this process. It's one of the only surviving 19th century color processes today. It's called gum bichromate printing, and it involves separating your digital negative into a cyan, a magenta, a yellow, and a black layer, and you print each layer separately. But the pigment that you're using to print is watercolor, and because it's watercolor kind of has a mind of its own. It doesn't act like an ink that you print. It ends up looking more like a painting, and because of that, I was able to mix my background in painting and photography so that I was making the same kind of decisions when I was printing these that I would make painting that I would with color. And it really felt like a perfect mix between painting and photography.
That is so cool.
I would love to do it again right now. I just have to have a studio space where the water is totally separate because the chemicals are pretty tasty.
If you could have a conversation with yourself when you were starting on your artistic path, what insight or advice would you share?
Like you said, when I was in college, I had no clue that painting would play such a large part of my life today. I purposely chose photography because I felt like I could make a living at it a lot easier, and it was more a sought-after job. And maybe in some aspects that's true, but painting has brought me just as many opportunities to my life currently as photography has job-wise. So just in a lot of shows and the people I've met, painting has been just as much a part of my career as photography is.
All right, last question. Then the mic is yours. Straight on a desert island, only get one piece of art other than something you've made. What would it be and why?
I think I would just, for religious reasons, I would have to probably pick a picture of Christ that we've got hanging on our wall. It's a very non-typical one. It's a photograph that an artist, let me look up her name real quick so I get it right. Her name is Mandy Jane Williams. She is a photographer, but then also digitally paints on these photos so that they end up looking more like paintings. And it's a beautiful picture of Christ that I just really love. And I think if I was stranded on a desert island, that's what I would choose.
Great. So, okay, again, thank you for this. I'll try not to gush more, but I really appreciate you as an artist and a person. You've been a major inspiration and support, and I appreciate your time. It's your chance now to collect your art, say anything you want to say, draw knowledge bombs, share some conspiracy theories.
I would just say that like anyone can be an artist. I feel like a lot of people are like, tell me that I have a lot of talent, but really it's just a lot of hard work. Like I look back at my art at the beginning and I'm like, oh, like I missed this, it looks really flat, and I feel like I'm just always growing as an artist, improving. And I think it has a lot less to do with talent and a lot more with where we put our time. I think really anyone can be an artist.
Thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Canvas, deep dives with inspiring artists brought to you by the most honest named Fine Art by John Cooper. I'm incredibly grateful for your continued support and hope you enjoyed today's insightful conversation. A big shout out to our special guest. Stay tuned for our next captivating episode of Beyond the Canvas. In the meantime, be sure to explore my Substack at johncooperarts.substack.com. Every Sunday, I share my muse and mishaps, art opinions, both semi-passionate and otherwise, and the highs and lows of my artistic journey. It's all part of the most honest thing.